If you agree with me that life is too damn short to be feeling sorry for yourself, feeling like you're a failure, feeling like you're falling behind, then here is my personal no BS strategy to start feeling more empowered and turn it all around for yourself, starting now. Hello, lovely guts, and welcome to Hexotica, the podcast for unconventional creative rebels who want to craft a self-reliant AF alternative lifestyle without selling their soul. I'm your host, Christine Rice, and this is the first official episode 1. And today we're going to be talking about shame and feelings of failure and how that might be holding you back and 10 steps to clear it. You wake up every morning and immediately feel a heaviness, like the walls are closing in, as if you are physically feeling the pressure of time ticking away before your alarm goes off. Recollections of painful past moments and stressful current situations are whipping through your mind. This isn't the life I wanted, you might think to yourself. This is this job, this house, this relationship, this body, something or everything feels wrong, and you feel wrong. You feel ashamed of yourself, like a failure. What did I want? You wonder. Did I ever really know? You just know this ain't it. You feel like your life has been a series of mistakes and misdirections, an aberration from whatever you wanted or it was supposed to be, and you can no longer withstand the pain of feeling like you're about to crack. If you feel like this is for you. We will dive deep to diagnose why TF you are where you are and feel what you're feeling, and how you got to where you are now. Then we will strategize how to get you out of shame, out of self-bullying, out of this heavy sense of daily dread, and the everything about my life apathy that goes hand in hand with shame. An apathy that shows up as various blocks to your general life happiness. Apathy like procrastination, self-sabotage, indecision, a lack of boundaries, and just everyday oppression. I will give you 10 steps to show you what to do when you feel like a failure, and I hope that will help you get out of the funk of shame that you may find yourself in. 10 steps to deal with shame that I've learned through personal experiences as an unconventional ADHD self-employed Gen X creative. The first 3 steps are to wipe back the mental muck that may be obscuring your ability to see your way out of your current situation. The next 4 steps will address the fundamental issue at the heart of feelings of shame and failure, status anxiety, and how to clear it using actionable tactics that you can employ to cope with both real or perceived judgment about your life status. And the final 3 steps are actionable things you can start doing today to steer yourself off a dead-end life path and start progressing toward a more self-reliant, hexotic lifestyle. Hexotic being my way of describing an intentionally crafted, called-in, unconventional, interesting life of time freedom, location freedom, and most importantly, financial freedom. All right, so let's dive into these 10 steps that I've laid out for my turn your life around strategy to deal with your shame. Now, step 1 is that you need to remind yourself that this is a temporary situation that you're in, and everything about your life can change. It's all possible if you start nurturing one true superpower that all of us humans have, but that we often really badly neglect. And I'll tell you what that is in a minute. But I want to just promise you that this is no, I've been where you are, believe me, so it all gets better, rah bullshit. I have been where you are. I still am where you are. Now, more often than I like, I feel shame all the time. But I've refined and polished a strategy to keep myself from drowning in my shame. I'm going to share it with you here today. So my name is Christine Rice, and I'm the founder of Hexotica, an alternative education company on a mission to transform the lives of creative and unconventional women and gender diverse people. Though if you are a male feminist, you are warmly welcome here in Hexotica's world. If you're struggling with ugly duckling imposter syndrome, which is just another name for what is often systemic patriarchal power inequality. Or if you're struggling with shame, or if you're struggling with fear, I want to help you turn yourself around and become, potentially, if you want to, a high-earning online entrepreneur and world-traveling badass. That's what I want to be. So that's what I'm helping others to be if they want to follow my lead. Free to direct your life however you want. Highly skilled in business, marketing, and copywriting to know how to make the entire internet your personal money trap. Because those are the 3 skills you're going to need if you want to start making money online and really, really have the freedom that you can get with having your own business. Marketing, copywriting, business skills. And most of all, to just exist in the world not feeling like a victim, a piece of human refuse, a lost, ugly duckling, or someone asking, begging, waiting, and reacting. An ugly duckling, in my opinion, is just someone full of fear, an imposter syndrome fear. We want to outgrow this ugly duckling fear. I want you to exist as a leader for people who need you, just like you are in need right now. Just think about that. You're in need now. You can be that person for someone else. First, I want to help you become a leader in your own life and in your own head, to develop the ability to listen deeply to your innate inner wisdom. And then from there, you can start helping other people in dire need of help finding their way in life. And in doing so, you can build an online business either as a side hustle or for full-time self-employment. Because what you don't realize every time you wake up in the morning filled with that dread about your day is that millions and millions of us are also waking up feeling the same feeling. We all need each other. People need each other now more in a time of social media and AI than ever before. And so just by being born, you have an opportunity to become both the person you are seeking help from and the person who can offer such help. You are not alone in feeling like a failure just for existing. And it is a scientific fact that there is not a single damn thing that makes you different from any one of us human beings in this world. Only your thoughts about yourself convince you that you're somehow different. But those thoughts are lies. You see, we all have this exact same untapped superpower of innate inner wisdom. Yet there are too few of us who realize we have this wisdom available to us or know how to tap into it. And even fewer who choose to start leading our own lives with what we learn from it or help people learn to lead their own lives. This inner wisdom can help give us the ability to change. And that starts with desire. The very reason you are here. That is not a coincidence, by the way. Coincidences don't exist. It's inspiration that led you to hear this right now, which is nothing less than divine guidance. A beautiful Sufi saying that I love and live by. If you have the desire, which we've established now that you sure do because you are here now, you have the ability to change your life. Because when you lose all hope, the impermanence of life is the one thing you can always count on to help you keep on living. The fact that nothing ever stays the same. You can change your entire life in just a few months or a few years. So keep watching, keep listening, keep reading, however you're consuming my content, and I'll tell you how I changed my entire life in just 4 months. So remind yourself that first of all, this is temporary. Let the hope of a total life makeover fuel you with some hope and energy to keep going. All you need is to start tapping into answers that are already within you. A new action strategy. So that's step 1. Learn to listen to yourself. Learn to nurture your inner superpower. All right, so let's go on to step 2. So step 2 of clearing this mental muck is to understand that this feeling of negativity, this feeling of shame, that's actually a default human condition. We are born to have a default to thinking that we are failures or that we are not going to survive. That's what helped us to survive when we were running around being chased by tigers. The feeling that we were constantly being threatened. That's where this feeling of shame comes from. So it's not you. You are not a failure or wrong or broken, and neither is your life. You have always been a perfectly normal, anxiety-prone, pimple-popping, greedy, gluttonous, lusty, slothful, envious, angry, proud, warm-skinned sack of a human being. Like the rest of us all are too, no matter how much a few of us like to pretend we're not. The problem is that you lack agency over your brain, actions, and life, which is why everything feels so massively screwed up. Recent research has shown that achieving more agency is one of the keys to happiness, well-being, and even how much money you earn. That's why I founded Hexotica, to help people just like us, totally normal, screwed up feeling human beings, learn how to have more personal agency, aka freedom. I want as many people as possible in this global village of ours to learn how to direct their lives with intention toward a ridiculous level of freedom in pursuit of a delusional level of dreams. My method of mapping out the A to B total life transformation is called the SWAN transformation strategy. Point A, being a cygnet baby swan or ugly duckling of fears and imposter syndrome, shame, and feelings of failure. To point B, a beautiful swan having outgrown all of the fears and restrictions that are holding you back in life. I'm telling you about it now in the context of talking about shame because it's more than just a marketing strategy. It's a step-by-step system to design and craft an entire lifestyle. And I believe that if you're a remotely creative person, you can 100% create your own place in the world by starting your own online business and becoming a badass master marketician, the highest level of savvy marketing mastery. We start by taming what I call your brat brain, and then we craft your new life. Not just any life, a self-reliant AF Hexotic life. You see, it's this brat brain part of you that's got you convinced that you are the problem, that you are broken, when the truth is, that is just the way our human brains are designed to think, negatively. So let me explain, and we'll get into step 3 of mental muck. All right, so step 3 is the last bit of the mental muck that we need to clear for you to get out of this funk of shame. And that starts with understanding yourself, how your brain works, and human psychology. So believe it or not, the default biological modus operandi of the human brain is to make you feel like total shit, especially in the moment you first wake up each day. The reason why it's wired like this is because we spent thousands of years running away from tigers and bears. So it makes sense to make us perpetually anxious so we'd keep our wits about us and keep ourselves alive for longer, right? So it's our job today to tame this brat brain from our prehistoric days and to get it to shut up and program it with a new modern way of coping with life. Because while the chance of getting attacked by tigers and bears is about 0, we still get the same biological flight or fright response when we open our power bill, or hear that a coworker got laid off, or see a mysterious red light start blinking on our car's dashboard. Stress today affects our minds and bodies in the same way being attacked by a bear would have in the past. Yet because there are no bears that we can yell and throw rocks at, we don't know what to do with our anxiety. And so it accumulates and starts adding up and increasing our distraction and mental bandwidth to cope. So when you start adding in the feeling of shame for simply not keeping up with all of life's stressors, it's easy to see why our minds start going down the slippery slope of thinking that we are a failure, when really it's life that is neurotic, demanding, and way too fast-moving. It quickly piles on stress after stress after stress. So the more you can learn about human psychology to understand your brain, the better. So understanding human psychology and how our brat brains work not only empowers you as a person, but it's also critical to becoming an excellent copywriter and marketer. Okay? So you can see how this is all tying together. So you can see how now why these are the skills I most recommend learning now if you want to gain self-reliance, financial freedom, and social status. Hence why I'm banging on about a marketing strategy as a means to total self-reinvention and transformation. I'll explain exactly why I think everyone needs to become a kind of marketer in today's world in a bit. But first, let's address the heart of the reason why you feel like a failure. Your status anxiety. All right. So the first three steps, we're dealing with that mental muck that we have inside of us, and to start to clear that so that we can then start to look at what are external things that we have to deal with in order to get rid of this feeling of shame and falling behind. So steps 4 and 7 are about status anxiety. And step 4 is about detaching yourself from judgment of others, because it is never about you. Your feelings of shame and failure are actually more about your relationship with the world. True self-reliance begins when we break away from all outside influences to become internally navigated. When we're emotionally mature enough to ditch religion, choose our own spirituality, when we are able to ditch conventional narratives and normative values, when we are able to free ourselves from judgment. But of course, this is not easy to do. It requires a level of free thinking that few people attain, because most of us tend to base our identity on things outside of ourselves. We let society, religion, family, friends, institutions, corporations, and countries dictate our self-worth based on arbitrary values. And because we want to be loved, accepted, and a part of society, we lose our personal boundaries. When we lose our personal boundaries, we start feeling lost and swallowed up. But there is a trick to coping with the pressure of it all, and that is to practice your ability to detach yourself from judgment with one simple reminder. You have to tell yourself over and over that it is never about you. What people say and think is always about them. It's about their beliefs, their self-worth, and their identity. So for example, if you have a family member who likes to gossip a lot, then you know they're probably saying some shit about you too. For example, she's saying, why hasn't she finished college yet? Why did she drop out? What is she still doing with that loser? When is she going to get a real job? Will she ever get married? Am I ever going to get grandchildren? The thing is, judging others is a form of desiring control. The people who do the most judging are also the most insecure. They judge because they wish to exert their control over things outside of themselves so that they can feel better about their own life choices. They want the whole world to reflect their image back to them. It may be entirely well-intentioned, and they may say, I care about you, and that might be the intention they think they have, but it's still ultimately reflecting their insecurity and fears in life. They fear being seen as a failure if they have a daughter who drops out of university. They fear the consequences of what may happen. All you have to do when you face others' judgment and fears is to detach yourself from what they are feeling. Acknowledge it. It's always a good thing to get constructive criticism and honest feedback. But if you feel like the fear of judgment is out of line, put it in a box. Label the box their problem, not mine, and detach your feelings of self-worth from their opinions. You are allowed to make your own mistakes and to find out things on your own, at your own pace, and in your own way. This is your life, after all. Now, step 5 is to start detaching yourself from judgment with one simple reminder. It is not about you. It's not about you. None of this status anxiety is actually about you. It's about other people. So if you've suffered feelings of alienation for being different most of your life, your inner critic may be crippling you, right? I mean, I know it was for me. Most of my life, I grew up feeling extremely alienated from everyone around me. I was born in a deeply religious, conventionally oppressive area of Georgia in the United States, right on the edge of Atlanta, where suburban sprawl met rural pastures. My father was a Yankee from Michigan, and my mother was a Catholic-raised Australian. So I was in the South with a Yankee father and Australian mother. So add to that, I had all the signs of ADHD, but I was never diagnosed. I was a massive daydreamer, and I was behind in reading comprehension as a child. As a teen and a young adult, I was super flaky. I was a complete airhead. So my diaries are full of stories of forgetting to bring things to school, losing keys, and getting locked out of the house. I could not have felt more like an outsider. I developed crippling social anxiety that took me until my mid-20s to overcome. But the good news is, as you get older and less sensitive, ignoring other people's judgment becomes easier and easier. And the more different and alienated you felt growing up, the faster you can shed that feeling of needing to please people and fit in. That's the bright side for being a little bit of a weirdo. This is because you learn to normalize the experience of being unconventional and feeling like an outsider as you age. You realize that the majority of people can't think for themselves anyway. Most people never deprogram themselves from religion, patriarchy, and normative values that they grew up with and inherited from their parents and never even questioned them, which I find astonishing, but that's another story. It's much harder to ignore your self-criticism, though. Maybe you had plans to go to university, and get a bachelor's degree, but you dropped out. Or you had a high-paying corporate job, but you just couldn't take the pressure or responsibility, so now you earn half the salary. Feeling disappointed in yourself is the worst kind of feeling of shame. And I get that. Like, it's really, really hard when you disappoint yourself. And that brat brain part of our brain is always going to be our worst enemy at those times. But the antidote to this self-criticism and shame is grace. We have to develop self-compassion for ourselves, and we have to learn to talk to ourselves like a gentle best friend. We must learn thought strategies to forgive ourselves for all our past mistakes entirely, every day. You cannot carry the shame and guilt of past mistakes if you want to change your life. It's all moldy baggage that needs to be left behind. So if you've never watched Brené Brown's famous TED Talk on vulnerability and shame, you have got to go find it. I'll leave the link in the show notes. It's amazing. She outlines the importance of self-compassion, gratitude, and personal grace much better than I can. All right, so number 6, take responsibility for your own thoughts about your status anxiety. So you may think to yourself that some people or society makes you feel like a failure. And while I do concede that this world makes us all feel like neurotics because it can be so effed up, it's always you who holds the narrative lens up to how you want to see yourself. So don't be intellectually lazy here and assume that I'm blaming you for feeling bad, okay? Think about it. It's not your fault that you feel like a failure. It's the default of the bratty part of your brain. But when you take responsibility for this part of you, you take your power back from this negative default conditioning. You can switch the narrative lens through which you see yourself and your circumstances. You can reframe it. All it takes is practice using your superpower awareness to notice when it happens. So here's an exercise that can help you. Identify exactly what makes you feel like a failure. List it all out on paper. Now separate the facts from the fiction. There may be facts like dropped out of uni, for example, but it's the fiction around what you're making that mean that is giving you the feeling of shame. So what if you dropped out of school if you had hopes of starting your own business, right? Or you wanted to travel. Maybe you just knew that what you were studying wasn't right for you. The factual events of your life may be things you had no control over or that you can no longer change. But the narrative around the events of your life is something you have full and total control over even right now. So you can change the narrative at any time and choose to frame everything in your favor. You craft the message you want to instill in your mind, and then you market it to yourself through daily rituals to persuade your subconscious brain to believe it. Now, the way to do this is to write a strong personal manifesto. A manifesto is a written identity guide on who you are now and who you want to become. Developing grace is about consistently reframing the stories we tell ourselves with intentional, crafted practice. You didn't fail, you gained an experience. You're not a loser, you're someone who is learning. Over and over again, every single day, you can market the message that you want to believe. You get ritualistic about shifting your identity at the subconscious level. All right, and now getting into step 7 of status anxiety is to stop planting your goalposts on external things. No advice on what to do when you feel like a failure would be complete without addressing status anxiety in the context of success and what it may mean to you. You must define what success means for you and be as specific as possible while making it as personal as possible. Because success is relative. How you define success and failure is merely where you decide to place your goalpost. Do you plant it internally based on your own values? Or do you plant it on your parents' arbitrary external values or on societal values? The thing is, we never consider just how relative our own version of success or failure is when we're mired in status anxiety. For example, Sally may feel like a failure because she lost her job, but she still has professional skills and plenty of career experience. To Amy, who is unemployed but lacks professional skills and career experience, Sally is a success. Or let's say Kylie has both a great career and plenty of skills and experience, but she feels like a failure because she is still renting. Sally may feel like a failure compared to Kylie, but Kylie feels like a failure because she isn't a doctor like her sister Vanessa. But then Vanessa feels like a failure because she hates the stress and long hours of being a doctor, and she doesn't enjoy working with random people every day. She wanted to be a baker, but she knew her mother would never support her because bakers don't have high status or make as much money as doctors. And on it goes. How someone feels is just a matter of where they are placing their goalpost. And when you plant your goalpost externally, all you are doing is playing the game of status anxiety. It's like following the sound of a cowbell as a cow and herd of cows. It's literally like whack-a-mole. The goalposts just keep moving and moving depending on who you are allowing to persuade and lead you. It never stops moving no matter what you achieve because you're always letting other people lead you. You're following the herd. Moo! The antidote to status anxiety is to stop planting your goalposts on wherever society's cowbell leads you to and to start planting them on internally led values. You have to measure your own success from where you are now to where you used to be and break away from the herd altogether. If you dislike where you are now compared to where you used to be, then place your goalposts in the future to where you want to be. You have to place your own goalpost. If you start doing this, you'll be amazed at how much shame will just immediately fall off of you. All right, so now that we've cleared away some of that mental muck that keeps us mired in feelings of failure and shame, and we've also dealt with the status anxiety from the external world, let's get into what actions you could start taking today to change the direction of your life. So this is step 8 and my favorite, and also where I'm going to share a bit of what my shame has been and what I've come out of at the end and how I got through personal feelings of abject shame. So step 8 is to get ritualistic about transforming your life and become self-reliant AF. So you have 2 choices. The first choice is you can continue down the path that you are on now. And if you feel like a failure because you were trying something new out and you failed at it, that is not a good reason to quit. If this path is meaningful to you, then I would encourage you to keep failing because success only comes after many, many failures. If you have not been following a path or your heart, then your second option is to craft a new path. It may be time to get ritualistic about crafting a new, fully self-designed, intentional lifestyle for yourself, and to transform yourself in the process. Now, you will feel terrified of making a huge risky change if you start from a position of shame. You have to accept that you may disappoint a lot of people and that you are 100% making your own life harder, at least for a while until you change your current circumstances. I know I have disappointed many people in my life, and I've made choices that I know would make things a lot harder for me down the track. And at the time of each pivot, I felt various degrees of shame. For example, I felt intense shame when I switched from majoring in biology to English literature in my freshman year at Valdosta State College in Georgia. I had hated biology so much that I let my grades slip, and I lost the second year of my Hope Scholarship. I feel so bad for that. Sorry, Mom. Like many people at the time, because the internet wasn't a thing back then, I thought that pursuing a creative career in writing would be harder and less lucrative. If only I had discovered copywriting back then. Today, copywriting is one of the most in-demand, high-paying skills you can have. Highly skilled freelance copywriters can earn a fortune. But back then, choosing to become a writer was like deciding you wanted to work at McDonald's for the rest of your life. Then in my sophomore year at the University of Georgia, I dropped out of the Air Force Reserve Officer training. Now, I can't say I felt much in shame of that. In fact, I accidentally discovered Noam Chomsky while researching for a linguistics essay, so I'm actually really grateful for that. I can't imagine myself in the military now, but that was a thing back then when I was trying to get through uni. After 5 years in uni, when I finally earned my degree, I then taught English as a second language in Japan, Boston, and New York for a mere total of 2 years before I moved to Australia, where my BA was not enough to get work to continue teaching ESL. So over the next 2 years in Australia, I took shitty, low-paying jobs before deciding to start an online business making handmade jewelry. That was the year I turned 30. I applied for the Australian New Enterprise Incentive Scheme called NEIS. I earned a certificate in business and a 1-year business grant. Hexotica was initially founded as a handmade Gothic burlesque accessories label and fashion blog. I ran Etsy, eBay, and Shopify e-commerce stores for 8 years, yet never managed to consistently earn enough to support myself. One of the hurdles I faced was that I loved to travel, and I had moved to Melbourne, Australia, though my family and friends were in Atlanta. So a small craft-based solopreneur business does not travel well. I have to confess, I was having too much fun to feel shame during that time, though. I had discovered that I loved entrepreneurship and that it was a perfect fit for my ADHD brain. I just knew my skills would help me evolve into something bigger in a different business venture eventually. I just didn't know what that would be at that time. And somehow I stuck with it. Finally, by 40 years of age, I hit what some might feel is the crux of shame. Heartbroken again after another failed relationship. Jobless as I got laid off from the job I took upon returning from 11 weeks around India. And finally, able to come to terms that my jewelry business, it was never going to give me the income or lifestyle I wanted. So I took a great risk and I decided to change everything in my life quickly. First, I bought a digital course to become a social media manager using my credit card. Then I rented out the spare bedroom in my apartment and I moved into the garage. And I worked my ass off like a hermit for several weeks. I only left the house to get coffee around the corner or groceries from the Aldi 2 blocks down. But in 4 months, I was fully self-employed. Within 8 months, I packed everything I owned into storage and realized a lifelong held dream of becoming a pet-sitting digital nomad. By year 3 in my business, I earned more than I ever did at any time in my life. 9 years and many overseas trips around the world later, I am still happily self-employed. I am earning a comfortable income with great clients, and I love copywriting, which is my strongest skill and the thing that fills me with a sense of purpose. Today, the only shame I feel is that I do not yet own my own house, and I'm not earning 6 figures yet. But I am ambitious AF these days, and I believe in nurturing delusional level dreams. I rent a cute A-frame forest cottage in the Dandenong Ranges outside of Melbourne with my partner of 9 years and my 2 dogs, Minnie and Moochie. I'm happily unsatisfied with my life enough that my shame is massively motivating. More than anything, I want to be able to afford travel as often and as long as I'd like. I also dream of decorating my own house in a Gothic maximalist style. So all this is to say, whatever situation you find yourself in now, know that a dramatic lifestyle makeover is possible. Even the most shameful, most painful moments in our lives can become powerful catalysts for change. It only took me 1 digital course and 4 months. Yet those 4 months arrived after many years of wrong turns, failures, and moments of intense shame. But I chose to take responsibility for all of my choices and not to identify with any shame-based narratives. Pain is sometimes just the price you have to pay to get what you want out of life, to make it your own. It's always when we fail to listen to our own innate wisdom that we feel the most pain in life. Here's a favorite quote of mine from Khalil Gibran. Your pain is the breaking of the shell that encloses your understanding. No matter what your age or experience now, you can change your life entirely in just a few weeks. So, you either have to keep going on your current path or craft a new path. And that's what I want to show you how to do. All right, now we're getting into the meaty, fun part. Step 9, build a creative business, design your lifestyle, master online marketing, and become a marketician. I strongly believe that one of the biggest reasons people feel like a failure is because they are told to find their place in the world. The truth is, there is no place to be found. It sounds cynical, I know, but hear me out. The world is not built for everyone. It suits certain types really well, and it leaves a large number of us hanging out. For example, it's not designed for women, LGBTQIA plus people, people of color, poor people, people with disabilities, neurodiverse people, non-religious people who question authority, nature-loving, non-materialistic people, people who like to read a lot and who think critically, and creative people. The fix for this problem is simple. Stop seeking to find a ready-made place in the world and go out and create it. Create your lifestyle. Create your career. Become the inspiring person you are seeking and that others like you are seeking. Craft a self-reliant AF Hexotic life. Start your own creative business. Fire your boss, design your lifestyle, and master online marketing to gain unlimited self-reliance, freedom, and influence in this world. Your world. You have the ability and the desire to change your entire life, but what you've been lacking is a how-to guide. Well, I got you covered there, Signet. So my Swan Transformation marketing strategy is exactly that. So I'm going to talk about that in step 10. The final step that I want to give you for overcoming your feelings of shame or falling behind in life, and that is to learn to write well, build online influence, and become an intentional alternative lifestyle badass inspiration. Crafting a self-reliant AF Hexotic lifestyle of freedom and influence starts with two things. First, you need self-trust. That's the essence of what every mindset and business coach promises to help you get. Yet it's something only you can develop and build for yourself in the end. All you need is a good step-by-step strategy to follow. Creating a personal manifesto can help you get the clarity that you need to get started. And then from there, building self-trust is at the core of the ongoing entrepreneurial self-transformation journey. Secondly, you need technical and tactical instructions on how to set up, run, and market your business. With online influence, you can then help change the lives of others. You can lead the way forward, making the changes you want to see in the world, and no longer feeling like you are a failure for not changing yourself for the world. So if you are ready to get started and you don't know where to begin, that's a very common obstacle to getting started for an online business. And that's why I created my Swan Transformation Marketing Strategy Guidebook to help simplify how to get started. It's a free 30-day PDF printable resource guide of every single step to help you start, grow, and run an online business in order. However, this guide is not just for beginners. It outlines steps well beyond the beginner phase to advanced marketing, including SEO, sales funnels, conversion optimization, and advanced brand messaging. I've also included all the mindset, goal setting, and weekly self-coaching steps you'll need to build self-trust as you scale your business. You'll also get a sneak peek into my unique marketing methodology, the SWAN strategy, which stands for Signature Systems, Walkaway Workflows, Ass-Kicking Amplification, and Ninja Networking. Oh, and did I mention it's pirate themed? Yes, because I am a massive Black Sails fan, I made the whole thing pirate and treasure themed to gamify it. I wanted to make it simple, fun, and neurodiverse friendly. Gamification is itself an essential motivational strategy I include in all of my educational content. It's especially useful as a motivational strategy if you have ADHD, as I know many of us creatives do. So if you want to start changing your life today and building your online side hustle or business, I master marketing to become a marketician. Download that free, complete step-by-step guidebook. You'll find the link below in the show notes. Thank you so much for listening to this first episode of Hexotica. To get that free download I mentioned, go to swan.hexotica.link. You'll also be automatically added to my weekly free newsletter, The Inner Sanctum, and that way you'll get notified of the next few episodes. So in episode 2, I'm going to diagnose the problems around feeling overwhelmed in life and in marketing. So come back for that one, and thank you so much for listening to this one. I'll see you then. Bye.